I wish you guys could actually see this stack of books I have next to me, because today I'm going to be going over what I'd like to read in the month of April. And I'm coming back very ambitious. I actually can't believe it's been so long since I filmed. I had a lot of change happening in my life. Some really good, some more difficult, but turns out good. So now that my life has settled a little bit more, I'm sure all the changes I will eventually be going over, or you'll just come to find out. But for now, I just want to say that I'm happy and I'm okay. I'm happy to be filming again. I'm actually really excited to be filming again. Let's go over what I'd like to read. I have a really big stack. Realistically, do I think I will read everything on this stack? No, maybe not. But I want to have the options because I'm just getting out of a reading slump and I really want to ride that wave. And the way for me to do that personally is to have a lot of options available, but to still have a loose idea of what I want to read for the month, because I'm a really weird mix of mood reading, goals oriented. So it helps for me to have like a hard list of what I would like to get through. But speaking of reading slump, I picked up a Court of Thorns series to get me out of the reading slump that I found myself in, and it did wonders. It's currently March 30th, so I'm gonna finish this today. So for the first thing on my April TBR, I obviously have to put this, that I would like to continue on with the series. And as book 3 in the Crescent City series has recently been announced to come out in January, and I'd like to reread all of these, but more importantly, I would like to reread the Throne of Glass series and the Crescent City book 1 and 2. Those two will take me a lot longer, so I wanted to start where I loved first. All right, let's get into what I would like to read, or my options for the month of April. So first on my list, because I haven't been picking up classics too much recently, and we know that I tend to be a eras type girl, I need to get back a little bit into my classic era. I need to be picking them up more frequently because I always love a classic when I read it, so I just need to be a little more mindful. And there's no point in easing myself into it, so I chose Middlemarch by George Eliot. I don't know much about this. I bought this last summer because I actually really like the cover. And as far as I know, it's actually just about like provincial life. I'm also currently reading, I always keep like a pocket book in my car, and I have Tess of D'Urberville. Okay, and then for the options I would like for arcs, because I have a lot of arcs I have to get through with all the changes that were happening in my life. I wasn't reading as much as I normally was, so I've definitely fallen behind on my arcs. So the first one I chose is The Foxglove King by Hannah Whitten. I did not really enjoy her first series, I will say that. I buddy read book 1 with my sister-in-law and just generally wasn't for me. I'll just leave it at that. Book 2 got sent to me as an arc, and I just didn't pick it up. But I have heard reviews start to come in about this series and how much better it is, and she's really grown since writing the first one, so I am excited to give this one a go. Okay, next, this is gonna be a bit of a surprise, and I just seemingly didn't pick any book that was less than like 300 pages, as this one is just about 800, I think. It is 832, and that is Night Angel Nemesis by Brent Weeks. I've never read a Brent Weeks book, and this is a little bit controversial that none of his books have actually like jumped out as something I would really like that seemed like it was for me. But Robin Hobb blurbed in the front of this, and basically that was all I needed to know to pick this up. And the next book I have on my TBR is actually the only contemporary, and it's Groupies by Sarah Precious. And I think it's literally just following the rise and fame of like rock and roll band and the groupies of girls that follow. And I believe we're mainly following the actual groupies, so the girls that are very enamored with fame and the band and the lifestyle of being famous. So I'm pretty interested in this one. It sounds like it's right up my alley. It's like 70s LA, very much what I'm about when it comes to contemporary stuff. So I'm excited to give that one a go. I haven't actually heard anything about it, which also intrigues me because I picked that one up in the fall. And normally, having worked at a bookstore for so long, normally I hear at least customers coming in talking about newer releases, and I heard nothing about that one. So it makes me want to read it more, to be honest. This is going to be a surprising one because we all know how I feel about sci-fi, but this past month, I actually started Leviathan Wakes by James A. Corey, and I'm really enjoying myself, to be honest. So I would like to get further into this. I'm not too, hell-bent on finishing it, but I read 100 pages this month, and I would just like to progress in this. Maybe get to page 200 by the end of the month. I'm happy to just go slow with this series. I don't know if I'll be continuing it. The only real sci-fi series that I have fallen in love with were Dune and the Skyward series by Brandon Sanderson. So I'm happy to just take my time and see if this is something that I do want to continue with. At this time, I feel like I do. I'm really enjoying it, but happy to just slow going with this. And I'm realizing I don't think I picked a small book this month. So let's zoom through this. Next, I have Joe Abercrombie, The Blade Itself. My sister-in-law recently finished book 2 and was talking about how much she loved it. I haven't read this series literally in years, maybe 3 or 4 years at this point. So I wanted to pick it back up. I've been meaning to pick up his newest series and I just keep putting it off for some reason. And already I'm remembering why I liked it so much. It is a very dark world. It is very dark for all of the characters, and just the setting. It's very doom and gloom, but Joe Abercrombie is really a master of fantasy. And as soon as I picked this up, and only 30 pages in, to feel so encompassed in the world and just right back into it, he really is masterful at his craft. So this next author is one of my favorites of all time, and I've been putting it off, and I don't know why. And I think I finally realized it's because every time I finish a book by this author, I go almost into a reading slump because I have a book hangover, and that is Ship of Magic by Robin Hobb. But I will say I have finally picked it up. I'm about 50 pages in, and already I'm remembering why I love Robin Hobb so much. Her worlds are so real. Her characters are so real. It's like you're there. It's like you can look around, you can reach out and feel the character next to you and smell the ocean air. And she really just is a master, an absolute master of what she does. And just in general, the Live Ship Traders trilogy, I would like to complete this year. So might as well get started. I don't know if I'd finish this month because again, it is almost 900 pages. It is 880 pages, but I'll give it the old college try. Okay, to lighten things up a little bit, I have also put Stellar Loon on my TBR for this month. I have started this one and I am 86 pages in. I'm enjoying it. It's middle grade. It's sweet. I know some reviews I've seen, they're talking about the fatigue of reading middle grade and how tedious it can be, how long it takes for characters to make decisions and everything like that. And to that I just say, it is middle grade. I appreciate the time they take. I appreciate that they show characters start to go from, snap judgments, learning how to think critically. I think these are valuable themes that as an adult reading middle grade, it can seem tedious, but as a child and the audience it's aimed for, we have to keep in mind that that is why this is written and who this is written for. And there's value in taking time and the mounting tension and critically thinking and trying and failing and what that provides for that audience. So I haven't personally found it that way, but I think that's just something the expectation I go into when I read middle grade. is that it is for that audience. So thus far, I'm still really enjoying the story. I'm having a great time. It's such a cute little series. It makes me feel so cozy every time I read it. I can't say good enough things about it. So the audiobook I'm listening to this month is A Fire Endless by Rebecca Ross. This is book 2 to The River Enchanted. I believe it's just a duology. Elements of Cadence duology. I'm really enjoying this. I'm about 10% of the way through. I just started it yesterday, but I gave the first one a 5 out of 5, I believe. I loved it so much, and I'm enjoying the second one just as much thus far. Okay, so the next thing on my list is going to be Shannon Chakraborty's newest release, or S.A. Chakraborty. If you read the Daevabad trilogy, she has a new fantasy adult book, The Adventures of Amina al-Sarafi. And I believe we are just following a retired pirate as she comes out of retirement to find someone's lost daughter. And this is book 1 in a new series. So I believe this book we're just like getting the lay of the land, or the lay of the sea, pun intended, and getting like the old game back together. And it just sounds like a really good time. The reviews I've seen on it thus far from all the booktubers I watch have had nothing but great things to say about it. And I think this will be a fun one later in the month when the weather starts to get a little bit warmer and we can finally feel summer coming, and maybe those first couple of days where I can't swim at the beach but I'll go there to read. I think this will be a really fun one. Next on my list, I have The Stardust Thief by Chelsea Abdullah. This is one that is blurred by S.A. Chakraborty, and I know a lot of people say that it is in a similar vein to City of Frass. I don't know anything about it. I know I got an ARC a while back, but I did give that ARC away to someone who was more interested in it at the time. But I did know I was going to purchase it when it came out to support the author. So this is book 1 in the new Sansi trilogy. So I'm excited. I've been putting this off for a little bit. I just had bigger fish to fry at the time, but I think the time is perfect to give this a go. And last, but certainly not least, one of my most anticipated books releases of the year, I'm going to be reading A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon. This is another book in the Priory series. So a funny story about this, as you can see, I have a bookmark in it, and I have read 100 pages of this beautiful boy. But this book is so big and so heavy, I was actually having a hard time physically reading it. So I put it down for the month, placed a hold on my library for the ebook, and my ebook came in just this morning on March 30th. So perfect time. That means I have until like April 13th to finish it. And I find her writing absolutely wonderful. I love this series, I love this world, and I think I'm similarly gonna love this book. I read the first 100 pages in about a day and a half, so I have no problem that I foresee finishing it, and it is beautiful, stunning. But it's just very, very heavy, and I was having a really hard time physically reading this. After the first day, my wrists were sore. So now with the ebook in, I foresee me absolutely flying through this. So that is all the books I have as options for April of what I would like to pick up. I also will be choosing, I believe, my next book of the month pick today. So maybe I will, depending on what it is, pop that in for an option to read. But thank you so much for watching. Like I said, I'm so happy to be filming again. I'm so happy to be back. I was reminded by my sister-in-law recently of all the things I used to do, and filming was one that really struck me because I really like this community. I love talking to people and connecting with all things that are book and sharing that with all of y'all. So I'm very happy to be back. And like I said, a lot of changes have happened. I'm currently filming my reread of the ACOTAR series, and I talk a little bit about the changes somewhat in there, but for now, I'm just happy to say, happy to be here. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you not in like 5 months, in my next video.